if you have a lot of people in your daily circumference, man, then, support, you know, love, care, concern, all these things, in bonds, genuine bonds with people should be present. I happen to have been in situations like that where the only bond that I really recognized, I mean, not in all situations. I'm not saying that, I ain't never done wrong or, this ain't about that. I'm just saying, like, if you recognize and realize things that I'm going to be pointing out, at what point do you, you know, look at what you can control? Because, you can't control what another person going to do, and as much as, some of us feel like, the contrary, much as some of us feel, contrary to that we can basically enforce our will, by whatever means, employable. Nah, it's like you in certain instances, yeah. But at the end of the day, man, a person's going to do what they want to do, you know. So, that's why I say, it's something that you really can't control what other people decide to do with their free will, you know. Um, so at what point do you ask yourself, or do you even entertain the thought, is the world not spacious enough for me to migrate therein? Next point. That one was pretty much self-explanatory. You know what I mean? Have you ever been in situations where it seems as if people enjoy you either being down or not being your best self? As I've said in the previous video, none of us are immune to the trials and tribulations of life. So we're fallible. We're gonna make mistakes. We're gonna falter. We're gonna trip and fall. We're gonna fail tests that come our way and succumb to the obstacles that we face at times. It's just a part of living and learning and evolving. Yet, again, this is relative to, the friends, the family, the associates, and just people that you allow in your inner circle in life. If you notice, that people seem to kind of like get in, enjoyment, or it's kind of hard for them to hide the sense of enjoyment that they get from you being in a challenging situation in your life, as opposed to you being up and everything's everything, you know what I mean? And, it is what it is. When the chips is down, and, when you kind of down and out, man, those are the times when I pay attention most, that I've paid attention most. And it kind of, it just, if you realize or you recognize via people's actions that they really don't care, or they don't care nowhere near, the way or the level that, had the shoe been on the other foot, and they had, common knowledge of the situation, the things that you would have done, so it's like, it all goes back to reciprocation, so, and they also say, man, that, your real friends, they ain't gonna care about how you feel. If they need to get with you and pull you by your coattail, look, what the hell is you doing? What's going on with you? They ain't gonna care about your feelings. They're gonna tell you what you need to hear. not trying to appease your feelings. That's why, like, a whole lot of people in your circumference ain't healthy. Because it's hard for you to kind of gauge and be able to keep track of that many people, man. It's a lot of evil people in the world today, man. A lot of, and then the way society is grooming and you know it's a lot, man. I don't want to get off subject, man, but it's a lot. That's a whole nother video that I plan to do. Social conditioning, but yeah, the way people's minds are being conditioned, colonized and indoctrinized, by the powers that be. Everybody's trying to outshine the next person, trying to it's crazy, man. Like it's just not it's not what it is, man. Yeah, people get enjoyment out of being over, circumstantially being over or above the next person, and that's a part of our problem. I can remember growing up, and not even during my my childhood, adolescent years, teenage years, and early adulthood. I still see it to today. Even in the suburban areas, like you see 8 to 10, Mexican individuals living in the same house. 2, 3 years down the line, everybody's situated. Yet we can't operate like that. We got egos that's too overinflated. It's all about, oh no, me, this is mine. It's like, it's crazy, man. And again, I don't want to get off track, but it's just relative to to the message that I'm trying to give. That I'm in the process of giving. I don't like try. I don't use that word no more in my vocabulary. Yeah, so is not the world spacious enough for you to migrate therein when you find yourself in the types of situations that I've laid out so far? Next one is being in a situation where you realize that the people in your life just take, but don't give. It's no reciprocity. I've been speaking on that, prior to now in this video, but that's basically, one of the things, man, and that's one thing that I had to realize, man. I was surrounded by a lot of toxicity and didn't realize that that's what it was. Just like, it took me getting a psychological evaluation for a pardon to realize that I was actually abused growing up, because, the mentality that I was raised with, and the environment that I came up in, it was like commonplace. It was natural, so it took me until I was in my 40s to learn and realize that that's actually, I suffered abuse, mental, emotional, psychological, physical, and yeah, I suffered sexual abuse too as a child. Anytime I was having penetrative sex with little girls at the age of 5 and 6, somebody had to teach me that. You see what I'm saying? So, like, that's, reciprocity though, man. Getting back to it, if your dealings with people aren't, yielding, reciprocity, as a result, or in some part of the process in those dealings, then yeah, man, it's I kept finding myself with an empty cup. I didn't have nothing left for me. I kept pouring into other people, man, pouring into other people and wasn't getting nothing in return. Excuse me. So, it came a point, man, where I just was like, man, later for that, you know, because and this is one of the sayings that I developed when I was going through certain things down at the job. If I gotta let you mishandle me or misuse me, because I'm trying to, I'm in the process of getting out of, cussing, for us to be all right. If I gotta allow you to mishandle me and misuse me for us to be all right or be friends, then later for that friendship, I don't need it that bad. You dig what I'm saying? So, it's not the world spacious enough for you to migrate therein. Um, if you're in a situation where as though, either friends, family, associates, or just people that, have no reason, like it's really no sensible reason why people would, rather, compete or feel it necessary to try to one up you or your accomplishments. I just was talking about that. It's like the society that we live in, man. It's everything is competition, man. Everything. Everything is competition. And that only suits those that kind of constructed, the mechanism, because if you think about it, man, society in general and everything we know of in society was somebody's brainchild. I used to, in one of my old raps from back in the day, I said it, and this was like in the 90s, in the mid late 90s. I said projects are projects, scientific projects. The outcome projects what they expected. We selling drugs in the hood, calling ourselves true. Yeah, it's a lot of it just it just resonated with what I was talking about. But this is something that I've been cognizant of for a long time. And that's another reason why I started doing these videos, man. I've learned too much. I've read and studied too much. I know a little too much, not from a cocky or big-headed perspective, for me not to, because see, those that know must teach. If you have some knowledge, you have an obligation by having that knowledge, man. You don't know whose life you can affect positively. How different my life would have been had I had access to, it just, hey man. But yeah, when you start noticing, things like that, on a regular basis, man, and you feel like, you gotta watch out for people that's in your circle, man. Like that's too much. It's too much work, man. I'd rather just sever the tie, circumcise that loose tie. Period. That today my life is if I get the inclination that I got to worry about you or wonder about, is this person being real with me, man? Is this person have my best interest at heart? And I'm gonna cut it, man. I ain't got time for that. I ain't got time for that, man. You know what I mean? And I ain't afraid of being replaced. That's the difference. I don't really, all that other stuff is. I was born alone. I'm gonna die alone. And everything I know how to do, I can do it dolo, if necessary. You know what I mean? It's not that I would rather, but certain things is best done by your lonesome, man. But yeah. So it's not the world spacious enough for you to migrate therein. Next topic, next point is and I didn't really notice this until I came into my spiritual awakening. And that was, I started noticing that people were feeding off my energy, you know. And again, like I said, left my cup empty. So there's really no need for me to really expound on that when I already did. But yeah, man, I spoke about it in the 5 levels of spiritual awakening. Energy vampires, energy people that practice energy harvesting. It's real. Don't you for one second think that people ain't practicing black magic, doing spells and throwing the evil eye and all these things, man. It's real. It's real, man. You know what I mean? And once I learned about it and reflected on different, relationships and associations and affiliations, man, I was able to pick up on it like, oh, okay, that's what was going on. Okay. Yeah. So, don't allow for nobody to feed off your light, man. And it's basically, those of us that become victims of that, we generally have a higher vibration for whatever reason, whether it be consciously or subconsciously. Some people just, innately vibrate high. Then others of us, we had to learn. We do it innately, but we also had to learn consciously. It's one thing for you to operate and do something subconsciously, but it's a whole nother ball game for you to do it intentionally. You see what I'm saying? So is not the world spacious enough for you to migrate therein. The next one is, man, when you really start paying attention and you either woke to whatever degree, and you start noticing, man, that people can't decide whether they, like you, love you, envy you, dislike you, want to be your friend, want to be your enemy. It's like, it's real. They say that it's a thin line. You know what I mean? It is. It's a thin line between love and hate, just like it's a thin line between genius and somebody being crazy as hell. Yeah, polarity. Yeah. So yeah, man. When you find yourself in the same space or somebody like that is in your inner circle and you keep noticing, man, like little subtleties and because a person, man, the way they feel in their heart, it'll come out their pores. If they crafty enough to keep it in other ways, and if you're paying attention, you'll see it. You know what I mean? A person can't hide what's in their heart, not to somebody that can see. You know, if you've experienced these types of situations, man, it's not the earth spacious enough for you to migrate therein. Now, those are the questions that I had to ask you relative to this video. Now, I want to, get into a part where as though, you can't forget, do not forget. And like, again, I can only speak for me, but I had to remember not to forget who I was, what I was, what I am, A lot of people don't really know who they are, what they are, First of all, like I said, if your definition or perception of self comes from someone else, if it's not coming from within you, 9 times out of 10 it's something that somebody has projected onto you. So, learn who and what you are as an individual. you know, and don't allow no thing or nobody to make you forget it through your interactions or dealings with them or it. You know, I'm talking about corporations, agencies, or agents, and that's I'll get into that little bit about legal stuff too later on down the line, but you know, or just anybody, man, on any level, man, don't lose yourself. Once you truly find yourself, it'll be hard for you to lose yourself. And that's the thing. A lot of people don't know, have yet to discover who and what they truly are. So, don't forget, you know, because the world is spacious enough for you to migrate therein. You know, people don't appreciate who and what you are or what you bring to the table. You don't have to deal with that. You don't have to allow yourself to be subjugated to that. And it took me to realize that, to make the necessary changes, and life began getting better once I made those decisions and stood on them and committed to them. So the next thing that I don't want nobody to forget is, just be a better you today than you were yesterday, man. Allow that to consume your focus, because it truly ain't no competition, man. Period. I'm not worried about nobody else that's putting out content, and shouldn't nobody else that's putting out content be worried about me. You know why? Because I'm the only Malik Bey. When I was born, the mold was broke. And that applies to every individual, every spirit and or soul, encapsulated in a body, walking this earth on this third dimensional realm. Ain't nobody like you, man, and that's your power. Tap in. It's that simple, man. You gotta tap into that, man. Don't never forget it. Wow. Number two, the second point. Don't forget how you got what you have and or had, not to mention the things you've accomplished. Don't forget it. Sometimes we got to remind ourselves. Sometimes you got to take a step back from life, and just reflect on the things that you've had, you either have had, or things that you've been able to accomplish in your life. And learn how to be grateful for that. You see what I'm saying? Being in a state of graciousness plays a heavy significance too. That's another video. I'm not going to get sidetracked. I think I done got sidetracked enough. But is not the world spacious enough for you to migrate therein?